Hello. Recently, Sahara Reporters published a story based on an interview we had with Savio Badamosi. He is a writer, poet, publisher based in Ibadan. And I read through some of the comments on the story published by Sahara, and it made me think. This is the story. It's called Despite Nigeria's High Population, Publishers Struggle to Sell Even 2,000 Book Copies. Award-winning poet Savio Badamosi. Now, typically when you see this kind of story, you know the comments that people will make, and they were no surprises. People will talk about not being able to eat, and that you have to eat before you can afford to buy books, which is expected. But there were many that were not expected. I just want to go through a few of them with you. They are very funny, but there are a few of them that will make you think about where we are. Remember that what happened to Africa before the Europeans came was simply that we did not document things that we were doing. And because of that, we lack the history, the knowledge of things that our foreparents did. Now that we are able to write as a way of documenting things, we now have a wonderful reason why we don't do it and we don't read it. And the danger is that we are going to go into a different period when, thinking about 1,000 years from now, 100 years from now, 50 years, 200 years, when people might want to go back and look at what happened to us, and they won't have anything to use as reference because, again, we don't write, we don't read, we don't support that industry. It's a terrible thing to think that we have the tools now, but the conditions are not right for us to do what we should do. And writing is not really about reading for today, but also for generations to come. But it has to be supported. So let's look at the comments, which is why I brought up this, and see what people are saying. Quite interesting observations. Okay, join me. Let's take a look. Unfortunately, yeah, let's see. Okay. Quite a lot of people who commented were, of course, talking about the basic, which is that I have to eat before I'm able to sit down and read. The age of book is over. That's what Victor said here. Somebody said that those who are comfortable are the readers. Those thinking where their next meal will come up won't even remember reading culture. And someone was saying, let the government do the needful to the populace first and make society more conducive for citizens. Then we will see that Nigeria know they carry last. No, which makes sense. But then there are people like Lanre Onabanjo said, if no be Bible or compulsory school book, just forget reading culture for Niger. This man, Okorie Uchenna, said thousands of people will buy book last. Thousands of people will buy book last time. Nakeke and POS, they find themselves. So he's implying that those who read didn't achieve anything. Who they read again? Even our future readers don't they pack for Asia? That's what he's trying to say. To read now is a problem. We prefer to read comments on social media. Yeah, there were a lot of people who were talking about social media as an alternative. Very soon, students go stop to the right project. Now book then go read. Which is something of interest. This one said, "Waiting with the right, waiting with the right self. we never see before. No, be all of us there this country." So he's implying that we know everything. That what are you going to tell us in a book? This one said, "Since I finished school, I know read again or even signboard." This is not a joke. I know it sounds that way to a lot of people, but we're losing a lot. Someone said that I know most people like to read books about motivation, Bible, and how to be rich. There was someone who actually mentioned the fact that rich people do write books about what they did, how they became who they are. Famous people, important people in every profession, they write books. So if you don't read, you are not going to read those ones too. And then of course you have biographies of people, famous people, politicians. If you aspire to be a politician, you don't read these biographies, you're not going to learn anything that will make you stand out, be a statesman. But that's the world we live in. And there continues to be people who we are talking about hunger, striking you while you are trying to read a book. Um, Say nobody has time to read again. Now hustle, everybody there now. Reading book could be a way to find your way out of poverty, like I mentioned. Um, of course, people were saying that I've not chopped, yet to chop. My eyes they roll. How can I eat? Many of us graduated with good grades, but yet to achieve anything tangible in life with our certificate. In fact, I'm regretting attending school in the first place. That's Fidelix Ifeanyi Nwachukwu, which is quite unfortunate. Somebody said, if na video who's about Nyash and Bola, you go see 1 million views, which is a good point because these people who are complaining about not having money to read books, they have phones. Some of them have phones that are worth thousands of naira. Some of them, they play Bet Niger, a lot of money. I think there is that sense that there's no value in reading. I think that's what it is. But again, we have people who mention that church books are selling. Pastors are selling thousands of books, and which tells you that people are still invested if they think there is something that they can gain from it. In the case of pastors, I think they're thinking maybe they will get a pathway to heaven. So so that's why they are investing in such books. This person said, we know they read na just lover, ami body, our body. So people actually understand understand that what is going on. But I don't think there's that critical thinking of what it means, not just for today, but down the road for us as a people. I do understand the challenges, and there were some writers who have gone to do book events across Nigeria, and were told by students that they cannot afford to buy the books, which which is also an important factor. But again, if you look at it, if it's important, really, people spend that money, they'll find that money. But I think it's just that it's not important. People don't see the value that will bring to their lives and how it's going to make them better, change their condition. Let me see if I can read one more or two, and then we stop it there. But it's quite interesting what I saw on the comment section. They're still talking about Nyash. They never watch Nyash finish for social media, not to read book. So there are people who basically understands why people are not reading. But I don't know whether they themselves they read. Because when you talk about them, why they are not. Somebody said Niger don't like long epistles. Just make it short. I do hear that one. I do see that one too. People don't like to read anything more than just a few paragraphs. Um, but 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 there are things you can make short. There are things that if you really want to have a transformational experience, you have to get the details. And it's quite unfortunate. Why Nigerians don't read, people around the world are reading. And eventually, it's the people who are reading. Oh, this one is important. This one said to the writer, they there, no go do poetry or skit. You go write tire. Which is another comment you see from people essentially throwing up, and they have decided that this is they are not going to go anywhere with this. And there was somebody who said when he was in doing his youth service, because some of these people went to college, really, they went to the university. After youth service, the first time he got his pay as a youth corper, he went and bought books, and everybody, they were all looking at him like, is something wrong with you? Why are you buying books? I don't know where that started. Look at this one. It says, you be like say this man no what's up. With all the motivational books where I read, waiting again. Now food people need. So this one say books. See this man say, no be person where chop go read. I understand that. I think it's more than that. Even during the interview, I totally forgot to ask a question when he said that I didn't know that books typically don't sell 2,000 copies in Nigeria. I was looking at libraries in America, and there were about 124,000 libraries in America. 124,000. So there are public libraries, university libraries, there are special libraries. So different. If you go up, you find that they have 124,000 libraries. If half of them, and they buy books, if half of them should buy a book, not a best-selling book, not a big book by a big writer or well-known individual, just half of them. Just okay, forget about half. If one fourth of them, a quarter of them should buy a book, already you have 25,000 copies sold. These are libraries. And I wanted to ask the author, but I didn't get to that. What about writers? Does it mean that we don't have up to 2,000 writers in Nigeria who can buy books of their fellow writers? Because they are reading, I hope. I hope that writers are reading. So does it mean that they don't buy too? Because if they buy as writers, 2,000 of them in a country of 200 million people, there should be 2,000 writers who can afford to buy books. In fact, there should be 20,000 writers who can afford to buy books because they need it. Just universities in Nigeria, they have libraries, they don't buy books. We're not talking about high schools, because if you think about high schools, universities, just two of them, that's enough to sustain a publishing culture that will sell 2,000 books. Private libraries, people have private libraries, They, anyway, it's just bad. It's something that should worry everybody. Someone mentioned something that is very common saying that if you want to hide anything from Black people, put it inside books. It's important to know that while we have economic situation today that is difficult, I understand. There are some countries in Africa that are also facing economic situations that are not too different from us, but they still read. So we don't live in isolation. We are going to participate in this world as the years to come. And if we don't have the background, which was what books give you beyond the headlines you see in the newspaper, we are going to be at a disadvantaged position. All right, that's all I wanted to talk to you about today. I don't want to stay too long. Thank you for watching. Hopefully we can think about this. And I know it's not an easy thing to solve. I don't expect people to rush and be buying books after watching this, but at least it's something to think about, that people in South Africa, people in Kenya, people in Mozambique, they are reading books. They are also Africans, and we're putting ourselves in a disadvantage. And most importantly, our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, we need to know what happened during our time. And if we don't have the books to tell the story, they will again be at a disadvantage. All right, thank you, and all the best.